So now we're going to go ahead and change gears a little bit and take a look. I'm going to start by, on the Crystal side, when we built that purchase order open PO report, we started from a template. So if I go ahead and choose open here, and we'll just pull up a sample template here. So again, when we started from a template, it looks like a blank canvas. Again, it has some things there already, but primarily what's been done here is the tables have already been identified, relationships have been established, and then what we've done in our templates is we've taken all the information, organized it here so all the like data is together, kind of the general fields. We've done things like trimming business units. If I click on an object here in a formula, we're adding documentation, trimming an object for display, concatenating some of the objects with their descriptions and things like that. So we've got all these formula fields there, addressing all dates and decimals. That's all accounted for. Have already built in some parameters where applicable. Have already had those parameters integrated into the data filtering. So the goal is so a lot of users can open up a template and then be able to start building their report from the template. Again, we did that yesterday, so we're not going to do that again today. But if we want to then go, this is a starting point as well. So if you kind of want to build a new report from scratch, this should be the way that most of our customers actually build reports, is by grabbing one of the templates that we've created under BI Quick Launch. There's also samples that are there as well. So if I went down here and said, that was under templates, but if I go to report samples and look under purchasing, here's like an open PO example. So if I go ahead and open that up, here's a report where it was built off that same template, but it already has formatted data, grouping and calculations that go beyond what was out of box with the template. So this is actually, both of these are delivered with our package. But if I go ahead and refresh this, now we've got it's a nicely formatted report. Obviously, what customers do, and once they can map to your data and everything's now running on your data, the logos be updated with your logos and things like that. But yeah, so this is part of our mapping process. Is we take the templates and samples and map them to the customer data, so you actually have these available for you. The other thing we'll show you here on the Crystal side, we go to like financials and look at, actually I'll go back to templates here. On the financial side is definitely one of the things where we actually get a lot of requests around financial data and building financial reports. And one of the complicated things about building P&Ls and balance sheets, there's a few things that are special considerations to be made. One is how you're going to get those summary type rows. So you get revenue and costs, and then you want to summarize all those together as gross profit. You're dealing with debits and credits, so you got to deal with sign reversals. And then you've got your time-based measures like year-to-date, quarter-to-date, actuals and budgets, year-over-year, all those calculated objects. And those aren't in the JD Awards tables that way. You have to build that logic, outside of what you're getting from the data. And sometimes, depending on how you structure, if you go data warehouse approach, you may or may not be putting some of that logic into the data warehouse. So it's still going to require an extra layer to where that business logic is going to be defined. So on our financial template, we can see here we use these what we call row flags. So we've got these objects already that do that grouping criteria. We train. A part of our training is to go through and how all this works, and but these are all mapped over to your data with your rows. So part of our out-of-box, we deliver a balance sheet and income statement, some variations of those that are mapped to your row structure and drill down and hierarchy, and so you're kind of getting your core management reports as part of our deliverable. But down here, they get to these amounts and units. We've got cumulative for like balance sheet type amounts, period, prior period, quarter to date, year to date, actual budget variance for current year, prior year. So this is where we've already defined all of these objects. I think this one has over 1,000 objects in it, that are already there. So you don't have to start by building those out. So it's not just some cases. We're talking about identifying table relationships and joins and that. There's also one step further in how are you going to get the type of objects that you need to display in your report by just dragging and dropping. So by us already creating these, you can just go in and so one of the things that the key points, and I think why today is for the technical users, is that again, you either, the point, my advice would be create a starting point and either create one or buy one, I guess. But that's really the key, and that's why, again, to reiterate, the reason why we're able to train, the majority of people that we train are outside of IT, is because we have this starting point that we're not really showing people how to grab tables, join tables, and build all this logic with a bunch of if-then-else logic or certain more complex programming.